Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the Monday haze began its weekly conquest of the office, a peculiar email appeared in the sea of mundane messages. Among the countless run-of-the-mill emails, the subject line, "Role Reversal Revelations," caught Murphy Barnes's attention. He stared at it, his curiosity battling his usual indifference to such corporate antics. With a tired swipe, he opened the message, and his eyes widened at the unconventional initiative. "Empathize through experience," the email declared, sharing the latest team-building scheme. Corporate mandated a role reversal experiment, demanding unity through upheaval. Employees must embrace temporary chaos, swapping roles for a full week. Murphy, perched atop his marketing manager throne for 8 long years, felt a surge of resentment. Her crisp black pantsuit and perfectly styled hair projected the authority that had earned her the nickname Iron Jen throughout the office. "I assume you've read the email?" she asked, settling into the chair across from his desk. "Just finished it. Look, I've got the Peterson campaign launching next week. There's no way I can—" Jennifer raised her hand, cutting him off. "No exceptions, Murphy. Direct orders from above." She slid a folder across his desk. "You've been assigned to work as my executive assistant." The blood drained from Murphy's face.
"You're joking."
"Do I look like I'm joking?" She tapped her manicured nail on the folder. "Rebecca will take over your position temporarily, and you'll fill in for her." Rebecca Chen, his current assistant, was efficient, professional, and, Murphy suddenly realized with growing dread, always impeccably dressed in business attire that emphasized her femininity. "But the point is authentic experience, Murphy. Complete immersion in another role." Jennifer's expression remained impassive. "That includes appropriate attire." Murphy stared at her, comprehension dawning. "You can't seriously expect—" "I do. The directive specifies authentic role embodiment. The company considers this an opportunity to truly understand different workplace perspectives." She stood, smoothing her jacket. "Rebecca will help you prepare. You start Wednesday." The door closed behind her with a definitive click. Tuesday evening found Murphy standing awkwardly in Rebecca's apartment, surrounded by clothing options she'd assembled for him. After his initial shock and a failed attempt to get reassigned, he'd reluctantly accepted his fate. 1 week. He could survive 1 week.
"This is insane,"
he said, eyeing the navy blue pencil skirt Rebecca held up with evident discomfort. "It's standard office wear," Rebecca replied matter-of-factly, laying the skirt on her bed next to a crisp white blouse. "Ms. Hale specifically requested you dress appropriately. She said, and I quote, 'If we're doing this, we're doing it properly.'" Murphy ran his hands through his blonde hair in frustration. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." Rebecca's tone softened slightly. "Look, I know this is uncomfortable, but it's only 5 days. And honestly, walking in someone else's shoes, literally in this case, might be more enlightening than you think." She handed him a shopping bag containing undergarments that made his face flush red with embarrassment. "I picked these up in your size. You'll need them for the proper silhouette. The pantyhose will help with the chafing from the heels." Murphy took the bag with the enthusiasm of someone accepting a live grenade. "This goes beyond role reversal into humiliation." Rebecca looked him directly in the eyes. "Women dress professionally every day without considering it humiliating. Maybe that's lesson 1. She turned to her closet, pulling out a shoulder-length blonde wig. "This should match your natural color. We'll style it tomorrow morning." After an hour of additional preparations and instructions, Murphy drove home with his car full of borrowed clothes and a knot of anxiety in his stomach. He set his alarm an hour earlier than usual, knowing he'd need the extra time. Sleep came fitfully, his dreams filled with boardroom scenarios where he tripped over high heels while executives laughed. Wednesday morning arrived with cruel swiftness. Murphy stood in his bathroom, staring at the stranger in the mirror. The navy blue pencil skirt hugged his hips in a way that had required strategic undergarments. The white blouse, thankfully loose enough to disguise his masculine frame, still felt foreign against his skin. Black pantyhose made his legs itch, and the modest black heels already threatened his balance. The blonde wig, styled into a professional bob, completed the transformation. Rebecca had shown him the basics of makeup application the night before, and he'd managed a passable job of foundation, subtle eyeshadow, and lip gloss.
This is temporary,
he reminded his reflection, adjusting the unfamiliar garments one last time before forcing himself out the door. Driving to work in his new attire proved challenging. The skirt restricted his movement, and the heels made operating the pedals awkward. By the time he parked in the company lot, sweat beaded along his hairline despite the car's air conditioning. His phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Meet me at the side entrance. Fewer people." Murphy's gratitude for this small mercy evaporated when he spotted Jennifer waiting alongside Rebecca. Both women assessed him critically as he approached, wobbling slightly on the unfamiliar footwear. "Not bad," Jennifer said after a moment. "The wig works with your coloring. You'll need a name for the week. Any preferences?" Murphy hadn't considered this aspect. "I don't know. Does it matter?" "Authenticity matters," Jennifer replied. "Rebecca, suggestions?" Rebecca tilted her head, studying him. "Audrey, maybe? It suits her look." Her look. The pronoun shift wasn't lost on Murphy, but he lacked the energy to protest. "Fine. Audrey it is." "Perfect," Jennifer nodded. "Audrey, for this week, you'll handle my calendar, screen my calls, take notes in meetings, and manage the usual administrative tasks. Rebecca has prepared a transition document. I expect the same level of professionalism from you that I receive from her." The first hour at Rebecca's desk passed in a blur of anxiety. Murphy, now Audrey, struggled with the unfamiliar computer system, jumped whenever the phone rang, and constantly tugged at clothing that refused to sit comfortably. "Sit with your knees together," Rebecca whispered during a brief check-in. "And stop touching your skirt. You're drawing more attention to yourself." By mid-morning, the initial stares from coworkers had subsided into occasional curious glances. A few people from other departments, unaware of his identity, treated him as they would any female administrative staff, with polite disinterest or professional courtesy. The first true test came when a senior executive from the finance department arrived for his meeting with Jennifer. "You must be new," he said, approaching the desk with a practiced smile. "I don't believe we've met. Harold Winters." Murphy cleared his throat, conscious of maintaining a softer tone.
"Audrey, I'm covering for Rebecca this week." "Well, Audrey, you're doing a fine job already.
Is Jennifer available?" The interaction, though brief, sent a wave of relief through Murphy. He'd passed as female, at least superficially. After announcing Harold's arrival to Jennifer, he settled back at the desk with slightly more confidence. Lunchtime presented a new challenge. The women from accounting invited the new girl to join them, and refusing seemed impolite. "So, how are you finding it here?" asked Marcia, a petite woman with curly brown hair, as they settled at a table in the cafeteria. "It's different from my previous position," Murphy answered carefully, struggling to manage a salad while maintaining his posture and keeping his voice modulated. "Rebecca normally sets a high bar. Big shoes to fill," added Dana, another accountant. "But Jennifer seems pleased so far." Murphy nearly choked on his water. "She does. She mentioned you were adapting well when she stopped by our department earlier." Marcia leaned forward conspiratorially. "She rarely compliments temps, so take it as a win." The conversation shifted to office gossip, and Murphy found himself in the strange position of hearing unfiltered comments about male colleagues, including himself. "Murphy in marketing isn't participating in the role swap," Dana remarked. "Typical, the higher-ups always find excuses." "Actually, I heard he is participating," Marcia countered. "Just not very visibly, something about a special assignment." Murphy focused intently on his salad, fighting the urge to defend himself. The experience of being simultaneously present yet invisible was disorienting. By afternoon, Murphy had settled into a rhythm. The heels still hurt, but he'd adapted his walk to minimize discomfort. The administrative systems proved less complicated than expected, and he found himself efficiently managing Jennifer's correspondence and appointments. A phone call from an irate client tested his customer service skills. Without his manager title to fall back on, Murphy had to rely solely on patience and problem-solving ability. To his surprise, he diffused the situation effectively. "Well handled," Jennifer commented after he transferred the now calm client to her office. "Most new assistants would have panicked." The praise, unexpected from his normally critical boss, sparked a strange sense of accomplishment. As Audrey, his success metrics had suddenly changed. Efficiency, diplomacy, and support had replaced his usual focus on campaign metrics and client acquisition numbers. By day's end, Murphy's feet throbbed, and his back ached from maintaining proper posture. Yet alongside the physical discomfort lingered an unexpected feeling, a quiet satisfaction in tasks well completed, problems smoothly resolved. "You survived," Rebecca noted when she stopped by to check on him. "How does it feel?" Murphy considered the question as he organized Jennifer's desk for the following day. "Exhausting. Different." He paused. "Not entirely what I expected." Rebecca smiled. "Tomorrow will be easier. The first day is always the hardest." She was right. Thursday morning found Murphy preparing with greater confidence. The makeup application went smoother, and he managed to style the blonde wig without Rebecca's assistance. The clothing, while still foreign, no longer felt like a costume but simply what one wore to work. The office dynamics had shifted subtly as well. Having accepted Audrey into their ranks, the administrative staff included him in their conversations and shared tips for managing difficult executives. Murphy absorbed their strategies, recognizing skills he'd never properly valued before. By Friday afternoon, Murphy had mastered Jennifer's complex scheduling system, memorized the preferences of key clients, and streamlined several administrative processes. He'd attended management meetings as a note-taker rather than a participant, witnessing how differently executives behaved when they thought only support staff was listening. "The quarterly report needs revision," Jennifer announced, dropping a stack of papers on his desk late Friday. "I need these corrections implemented and the deck redistributed before end of day." The old Murphy would have delegated such a task. Audrey simply nodded and set to work, fingers flying across the keyboard as she reformatted slides and updated figures. When Jennifer returned an hour later, her eyebrows raised in surprise at the completed presentation waiting in her inbox. "This is excellent work," she said, scanning the revisions. "You've integrated my notes perfectly." "Thank you." Murphy replied, the soft, measured tone of Audrey's voice now coming naturally. Jennifer studied him for a moment. You know, you've shown remarkable adaptability this week. Most people in your position would have performed the minimum requirements under protest. Murphy smoothed his skirt, a gesture that had become automatic.
I figured if I had to do it, I might as well do it properly.
That attitude will serve you well. Jennifer's usually stern expression softened slightly.
What's been your biggest takeaway?
The question caught Murphy off guard. He considered his answer carefully.
I think I've realized how much work happens invisibly. As a manager, I see the outcomes, but not always the process. This week, I've been part of that process.
He gestured to the desk.
The difference is, when I do my regular job well, I get recognition. When Rebecca does this job perfectly, it's just expected.
Jennifer nodded slowly.
That's precisely the insight this exercise was designed to generate.
She checked her watch. Your week as Audrey officially ends in an hour. Monday morning, you'll be back to marketing campaigns and client meetings. Murphy felt a strange reluctance at the thought. Right. Back to normal. After Jennifer left, Murphy completed his final tasks with meticulous care. He organized the desk, updated the handover document for Rebecca, and cleared his temporary email account. As he prepared to leave, Harold from finance stopped by, a folder in hand.
Audrey, excellent. I was hoping to catch you. Would you mind giving these budget projections to Jennifer on Monday? They need her signature. Actually,
Murphy began, then stopped.
Of course. I'll make sure she gets them.
Harold smiled warmly.
You've been so efficient this week. Between us, much better organized than Rebecca. Any chance you're staying on?
The compliment created an unexpected glow of pride.
That's still being determined,
Murphy replied diplomatically. After Harold left, Murphy sat quietly at the desk, contemplating the week's experience. He'd entered this assignment dreading humiliation, but instead found something entirely different. As Audrey, executives who normally barely acknowledged him had engaged directly, valuing his assistance. Colleagues had included him in conversations without the barrier of hierarchy. And the clothes. Murphy ran his hand along the smooth fabric of the pencil skirt. After the initial discomfort, he'd grown to appreciate the professional ensemble, the clean lines, the structured silhouette, the way the outfit created an immediate visual identity. The building had emptied significantly when Murphy finally gathered his belongings. According to the role reversal rules, he could now revert to his male clothing. His regular clothes waited in a bag under his desk. He reached for it, then hesitated. 30 minutes later, Murphy drove home, still dressed as Audrey, the weekend stretching before him with unexpected possibilities. Monday morning arrived with the familiar sound of his alarm. Murphy stared at the ceiling, mentally preparing to return to his regular routine. The navy blue suit hung ready on his closet door. His marketing files waited neatly in his briefcase. Yet, as he showered and shaved, his thoughts kept returning to the previous week, to the unexpected competence he'd discovered in himself, to the different kind of respect he'd received, to the strange freedom he'd found in Audrey's carefully constructed persona. Standing before his open closet, Murphy made a decision that surprised even himself. The navy blue suit remained on its hanger. Instead, he reached for the items Rebecca had insisted he keep, just in case. A charcoal gray pencil skirt, a cream blouse, and the black heels that no longer hurt his feet. The blonde wig, now his, sat on its stand on his dresser. The makeup kit Rebecca had helped him assemble waited in the bathroom. An hour later, Murphy, or rather Audrey, walked confidently through the main entrance of the corporate building. The role reversal week had officially ended. Everyone had returned to their regular positions, regular attire, regular identities. Everyone except him. Heads turned as he made his way to the marketing department, recognition slowly dawning on his colleagues' faces. Rebecca spotted him first, eyes widening in shock. "Murphy, what are you doing?"
"I'm continuing my research,"
he replied calmly, setting his bag at his desk.
"The week provided valuable insights, but I don't think I've fully explored the professional dynamics yet."
Jennifer appeared in his office doorway, her expression unreadable. "This is unexpected." Murphy straightened, surprising himself with how naturally he now stood in heels. "The company initiative emphasized authentic understanding of different workplace perspectives. I found the exercise illuminating and wished to continue my observations." He paused.
"Unless there's a policy prohibiting it."
Jennifer considered him for a long moment. "There isn't," she finally said. "Your appearance is within professional dress code guidelines." His team members gathered outside his office, whispering among themselves. Murphy addressed them directly. "I realize this is unconventional, but I believe it will ultimately benefit our department. My experience last week highlighted several areas where we can improve interdepartmental communication and service delivery. We'll discuss these in our morning meeting." Gradually, the initial shock subsided. By midday, Murphy found himself conducting business almost normally, though now with the added complexities of navigating his transformed appearance. Some clients on video calls did double takes, but his professional manner quickly redirected focus to the work at hand. Not everyone adjusted smoothly. Frank from sales made a point of calling him buddy and man at every opportunity during the afternoon strategy session. Others simply avoided eye contact altogether. Yet for every uncomfortable interaction, Murphy noticed positive changes as well. Female colleagues engaged with him more openly. Junior team members seemed less intimidated when bringing questions. Even Jennifer treated him with a subtly different kind of professional respect. At home that evening, Murphy carefully removed the makeup and wig, setting them aside for the next day. The experience had moved beyond curiosity into something more profound, a deliberate choice to present differently, to access different aspects of his professional capabilities, to be seen through a different lens. The days stretched into weeks. Murphy maintained his marketing position with undiminished authority, gradually earning back the respect of those initially thrown by his transformation. His campaigns continued to exceed targets. His team adapted to his new appearance, focusing on his leadership rather than his clothing. What had begun as a temporary assignment evolved into something permanent. Murphy, now predominantly Audrey in both professional and personal settings, found unexpected freedom in the change. The blonde hair, now grown out naturally rather than a wig, framed a face more comfortable with itself than ever before. 3 months after the role reversal week, Jennifer called Audrey into her office. "HR has been monitoring the situation," she said without preamble. "There have been no formal complaints, and your performance metrics have actually improved since the transition." Audrey nodded, crossing her legs comfortably in the visitor's chair. "I've found I can focus more effectively on the work itself without certain social dynamics at play. The executive team has some questions about client perception." "My client retention rate is 97%, Audrey replied smoothly. "Up 5 points from last quarter. I've prepared a report." She handed over a folder from her portfolio. Jennifer scanned the contents, nodding slightly. "Impressive. And your team?" Initial adjustment period, as expected. Current internal satisfaction surveys show improved communication and clearer directives compared to previous quarters. Jennifer set the folder down, studying her with new interest. This wasn't just about the clothes, was it? Audrey met her gaze steadily. The clothes were the beginning. They allowed me to access aspects of my professional self that I'd previously suppressed. Better listening skills, more attention to detail, greater empathy for client needs. She paused. The external change facilitated an internal one. And personally? I'm happier, Audrey said simply. More authentic, more effective. Jennifer nodded slowly. Then I see no reason for further discussion. Your performance speaks for itself. She rose, extending her hand. Congratulations on finding your path, Audrey. 6 months after the role reversal week that had changed everything, Audrey sat in her office reviewing the latest campaign results. The navy blue pencil skirt and white blouse had been joined by numerous other professional outfits, all selected with the care of someone who understood their power as both armor and expression. Rebecca knocked on her open door. The executive committee approved your proposal. Full budget for the international expansion. Audrey looked up with a smile. Excellent. We'll start implementation next week. Rebecca lingered, glancing at the framed photo now prominently displayed on the credenza, a group shot from the company retreat, with Audrey centered among her team. You know, when you first showed up that Wednesday as temporary Audrey, I never imagined this outcome. Audrey set down her pen. Neither did I. It was terrifying, honestly. Those first steps in heels, feeling everyone's eyes on me. She laughed softly. Now I can't imagine going back. You've inspired others, you know, Rebecca said. Not just to change their appearance, but to question limitations they've placed on themselves. That wasn't my intention. The best influences rarely are intentional. Rebecca smiled. The role reversal was supposed to last 5 days. Instead, it unlocked something permanent. After Rebecca left, Audrey stood by her office window, gazing at the city skyline. The company initiative had been designed to create empathy across departments to help employees understand different workplace perspectives. No one had anticipated it would lead to such a profound personal transformation. What had begun as an uncomfortable assignment had revealed a truth she hadn't been ready to acknowledge, that the person she was meant to be had been waiting all along, hidden beneath cultural expectations and professional norms. Now, as Audrey smoothed her skirt and returned to her desk, she reflected on the strange journey that had brought her here. 1 week of role reversal had become a lifetime of authenticity. The reluctant Monday when Murphy had opened that company-wide email seemed to belong to another person entirely, someone she remembered with compassion but no longer needed to be. Her calendar alert chimed, reminding her of the upcoming department meeting. Audrey gathered her presentation materials, checked her appearance briefly in the small mirror on her wall, and headed toward the conference room with confident steps. The navy blue pencil skirt and white blouse that had once felt like a costume now simply felt like clothes. Her clothes, the professional attire in which she conducted her business and lived her truth. The black heels that had once threatened her balance now carried her forward with purpose. The role reversal had ended long ago. Audrey's life had just begun. 6 months later, Audrey sat at her desk reviewing quarterly projections when Jennifer appeared in her doorway.
Got a minute?
Her boss asked, closing the door behind her. Of course. Audrey set aside her work, noting Jennifer's unusually serious expression. Jennifer handed her a folder embossed with the company logo. The executive committee just approved this. I thought you should be the first to know. Inside, Audrey found a new company policy titled Gender Expression and Identity in the Workplace. "You inspired this," Jennifer said quietly. "Your transition showed leadership that our policies needed updating. This ensures protection and support for any employee exploring their gender identity." Emotion tightened Audrey's throat as she skimmed the document. "This is comprehensive." "It should be. You helped write it in a way." "Your journey became our roadmap." Jennifer leaned against the desk. "They're also creating a new position, Director of Diversity and Workplace Culture. They want you to consider it." Audrey looked up in surprise. "Me?" "Who better? You've lived the experience and maintained exceptional professional performance throughout. Think about it." After Jennifer left, Audrey sat quietly, contemplating how far she'd come from that reluctant Monday morning when Murphy had read the role reversal announcement with dread. That evening, she stood before her bathroom mirror, studying her reflection. The blonde hair now fell naturally past her shoulders. The face that looked back at her, while still recognizable, had softened with hormone therapy she'd begun 3 months earlier. The navy blue pencil skirt and white blouse hung in her closet alongside many other carefully selected outfits, no longer costume pieces, but simply her wardrobe. What had begun as role reversal had revealed her true self, hidden beneath years of conformity. Her phone rang. Rebecca calling about dinner plans. "Have you heard about the new policy?" Rebecca asked immediately. "Jennifer just told me, and about the position." "You're taking it, right? You have to. You'd be amazing." Audrey smiled, running her fingers through her blonde hair. "I think I might. It feels right. Like everything else since you became Audrey?" "Exactly like that." After they hung up, Audrey opened her laptop to review the job description Jennifer had emailed. Director of Diversity and Workplace Culture, creating a more inclusive environment for everyone, not just those exploring gender identity. The role reversal week had been designed to build empathy across the company. No one could have predicted it would lead to authentic self-discovery for one marketing manager, or that this discovery would ultimately reshape company policy for everyone. Audrey closed her laptop. Decision made. From reluctant participant to policy architect, a journey that had come full circle. The navy blue pencil skirt and white blouse that had once felt so foreign now represented something powerful, the courage to step into one's truth, regardless of expectations. Tomorrow, she would accept the position. Tonight, she would celebrate how far she'd come from that Monday morning when Murphy had opened an email and found the beginning of Audrey's story.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!